Whether you're watching, listening or reading this, welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we're on a mission to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days the distance of one lap around the world. It is a staggering 40,075 kilometres, and it's going to take somewhere between 14 and 15 years to accomplish, so plenty of time to raise that money. I'm going to do a minimum of 5 kilometres every day whilst vlogging, and also I'm going to do it in barefoot style, so it's a pretty epic challenge. So hopefully you can follow me on this journey. And for those regulars, they know that I vlog about my passions, which are entrepreneurship and running. And it is a beautiful day today, really cold, mind you. It's -2 degrees wind chill factor, but the sun's just come out, so nice to be out in shorts, although I'm starting to not be able to feel my legs. And it is Monday motivation today, where we talk about motivation and productivity. And today's topic is productive wealth. So as always, if you like this episode, please give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, productive wealth. What do I mean by this? Well, look, I'm no money or investment expert, but I've read a lot of books on money management and wealth creation, investments, all these types of things. And just simplifying everything down really easily is you want to have productive wealth. You don't want to be building, obviously we're focused on building our wealth, but too many people focus primarily on building it rather than having productive wealth. And what do I mean by the differences between the two? Well, building your wealth is you go and raise money, you'll go and try and buy an asset somewhere, or you'll start a business, and that's all good and well. Okay, you're building your assets by hustling, by grafting. But the smart and the most wealthiest people out there use what I would say productive wealth techniques. And what we mean by this is that they've got their money management system down to a T, whereby, just going past the tractor, so hopefully you can hear me, so I'll let this tractor come past me. What I mean by this is what we're trying to do is have your money work as hard for you as possible, and regardless whether you're hustling and building your assets, that's all growing, that's growth, which is amazing. But if you have productive wealth in the background, it's like a double effective strategy. So what I mean by this is that, okay, like I'm building some businesses at the moment, okay, which is great, and they're all going okay and starting to be more and more profitable, which is amazing. But the income I generate from that is all being apportioned into different buckets and investment categories, which means that the money I've just worked for the hustle and building a new business, a new stream of income, is being apportioned into investments as well. So you're not just building your assets and income by building the businesses, but the money that I made from it is being apportioned every single month into an investment model, and is growing in wealth over the course of time. So not only am I getting the benefit of the increased net worth through business growth and profitability, but the income that I'm holding, I'm reinvesting, which I'm getting a return on passively. So this is what I call productive wealth. And there's lots of people, Harv Iveka, I can't pronounce his name, T. Eka, I think I can't pronounce his name, but he did the Millionaire Mind book, amazing book on he kind of, I don't know whether he created it originally or not, but it's where I kind of come across this process of income bucketing and understanding how you can become financially free just by this model of kind of income bucketing. And he had different categories basically that you put money in, like your general kind of expenses that you run every day. He had a fun account, so stuff to spend. He had a long-term savings account. He had a financially free account, and a tax account, I think, were his 5 that he had. Now I've kind of evolved it to a little bit more something that works for me, because I think the problem with generic buckets is income buckets is everybody's life is slightly different, and the whole process behind this money management, income bucketing idea, is that you can still live and still have your life. It's not about cutting everything out so that you can't live. It's about doing the things you want to do. It's about having fun, spending money on stuff that you want to spend money on, but only a proportion of your income. So there's always a proportion going in to your longer term investments and your savings, which is obviously going to grow your wealth, but whilst you're still spending and enjoying life to the full. That's the kind of objective behind this. So my buckets are slightly different in that I call them something different as well, so I find them easier to understand. And but it works really well, and I do this model for each business, and I do this model for, well, it's obviously different buckets for business, but for personal wealth, I have the following buckets. I have fixed costs. So these are the kind of standing orders, direct debits that come out of your account every month that you obviously have to pay. So it may be mortgage, council tax, living costs, but fixed, okay? They come out every month. You might have a car loan or contract hire, whatever. Everybody's going to be different. Utility bills, maybe you have standing orders for TV license or driving license, tax, or all these types of different costs that are fixed and come out every single month. So you have an account for fixed costs, okay? The second one you have, I call variable essential costs. Okay, so what I mean by that is that they're not fixed, they don't come out every month, but you spend pretty much the same every month. So things like groceries, kids' school clothes, kids' footwear and shoes. You might have dentistry, you might have, medical prescriptions, haircuts, things that you classify being more essential to living, okay? So you have an account there. And if it's something that you don't spend every month, well, it's really easy. You just look at what you spend on a year basis on haircuts. You only have one every 3 months, for example, but look at what you spend over the course of the year, divide it by 12, and that's your monthly allocation to that cost, okay? It means that come 3 months down the line, you should have that money there for your haircuts, okay? So that's how you kind of do it if it's not a monthly kind of similar amount all the time, but you're budgeting, okay? So essentials, but there's different ways of looking at this, but some people can be brutal, but my definition of it is it essential to live in terms of these costs? So, food is essential, okay? Takeaways are not essential, okay? So groceries, cleaning products, all stuff essential, but takeaways, coffees out, cake at the shop, not essential. Okay, so determining the difference between the two, I would say, you could even argue a haircut's not essential. We've been in lockdown for the best part of a year, and most people have kind of learned to cut their hair themselves, so you could argue that's not essential, but certainly school clothes and footwear for your kids and things like that would be essential, okay? So, but again, you just have to set the rules and abide by them. The next one is variable costs but non-essentials. So this is what, like, the equivalent of a fun account, really. So takeaways, clothes shopping, buying stuff for yourself, socialising, days out with the family, all these types of kind of areas that are not essential, but they are kind of essential to have a life. So it's like the fun account, really. So you have a portion of your income associated with variable costs, non-essentials. This is where your takeaways, your coffees, days out with the family, cinema, when you can get to do stuff like that again, maybe take the kids out for a football match or something, whatever, then it's that's what your variable cost non-essential is. You then have a holiday. I have a separate holiday account, and the reason I have that is that it's really important that I go on 4 holidays a year with my family. That's something that I've always wanted to abide by. So I have apportioned a certain amount of income every month into the holiday account, which basically means that the money's there when we need holidays. We don't have to scrape, and that's not just the cost of accommodation and flights, but actually spending money as well. So obviously, depending on the varying level of holiday, we will have one nice holiday a year. We might have a camping long weekend, might be classified as one holiday. You might have, I don't know, a week-long vacation on a UK domestic location or something, as another one, and you might have a week abroad. So we're not talking about having all of them are super expensive, going around the world type holidays, but it's a break every 3 months, which is what's important that, something that's very important to me and what I set out to achieve for my family. So that's a holiday account, okay? I then have a big purchases account. Okay, this is for things like, home improvements, a sofa, things that you generally save money up for to buy. So it might be you need your fencing done around your garden, there's a few grand there, so you would save this money up in your big purchases account. So again, it's saving stuff up independently in the background. It might be that you need a new tent, could be $1,000 for a new tent, so that would come out of the big purchases account. Okay, so something that's a substantial purchase, sofa, new TV, these types of things would come out of your big purchases account. But whether you spend it or not, you're putting allocation of funds into that account every month, so that when you do need to spend, you've got it there. You would then have an investment account, okay, and this is a crucial one. Okay, so generally speaking, I have a fixed amount going into all of those buckets every month. Okay, and the one variable is the investment account. All the surplus, after I've put money away there, goes into the investment. And hopefully, not always, income can be very fluctuating, but in certain instances, I have a significant amount that goes into the investment part each month. Other months I might have a teeny tiny amount. But anything surplus will go into the investment fund. Now, the T-half ECA process and Millionaire Mindset is to do it by percentage. And the profit first, which is Mike McAlovich model, is also to do it by percentage. Now, I do percentages in the businesses, but I find personal that I prefer doing it fixed and then having a variable amount for investment. Okay. Now, the pros and cons to each. If I did it by the percentage, then perhaps I would have a fixed, a percentage allocation going in every month to every pot, which is key. But I know roughly how much it's going to cost to go on the holidays I want to go on every year. I know roughly pretty much how much we spend on big purchases. So I'd rather have fixed amounts in those rather than, if my income grows, additional money goes into them, because I don't want to put any more money into the holiday fund. I don't want to put any more money into the big purchases. Okay, so, but what I want to do, if I'm earning extra, I want to put more money into the investment vehicle, because that's also going to provide me with a passive form of income, and it's using wealth really smartly, productive wealth as I call it. So certain months you can have a significant amount going into investments, but other months you might not have anything. Okay, so it's a risk reward, but I know doing it this way I end up putting more into my investment pot this way than I do the other. The other option is to constantly tweak your percentages. Okay, so if you're earning more and more and more, then you can tweak your percentages accordingly. But I find it easier to manage just having the fix, because I can then set up standing orders. So when I get paid every month for my different businesses, I always have a monthly meeting with my accountant on and around the 20th of the month, and then the payments come out a few days after, and all of that money is there. I then got standing orders set up to kind of go out between the 20th and the end of the month, so that the following month all the money are in the right pockets or in the right buckets as such. So that's really, really important for how kind of I do it. There's as much automation as possible. I don't want to be doing manual transfers. Now, I have an accountant to a finance team who do the payment runs for my businesses, but obviously my personal finances, other than my holding company, I do myself. I don't give people access to my private accounts. So that's really, really important. The last one is the tax account. Now this one it changes opinion quite frequently, because what you have to remember with this is that with tax account, it depends how tax efficient you are. Okay, now what I mean by that is I have a group of companies so that I could often minimise my tax bill pretty substantially by smart setups, i.e. I know what is tax deductible and what I can write off through the businesses and what I can't, because I have a finance team in place to do that. That's not everybody's going to have the ability to do that. So if you don't, you need to look at whether you're a higher or low rate taxpayer, and you need to apportion out a tax allocation. Now, if you're employed, it's not going to be an issue, because this is all taken care for out of your payroll. But if you're self-employed or a director of your own business, then you need to have this bucket. It's so important that you allocate funds to this, both from a company and from a personal perspective, because you're taxed at both levels. So really, really important, but it's very specific and personal to you, so you need to take some advice on this. But without a shadow of a doubt, you need to be building up allocations to cover these amounts every month. Okay, so super, super important that you do that. Otherwise you get burned when it comes around to paying your taxes, and it comes around too often and it surprises too many people, and then you're constantly playing catch up. That is not productive wealth. Doing proactively budgeting for this is productive wealth. Okay, so that's really, really important. I'll talk more about what I do with my businesses, because I follow more of a profit first methodology for there. I'll talk more about this in a separate episode, so it'll be the business income bucketing, or the business productive wealth version. But this is a way to get extra productivity out of your wealth, your personal wealth, by having these kind of rules set up. So really, really simply, I have a standing orders at the end of each month which goes out to all of these different accounts. So you need different accounts for these. Okay, you can have accounts within the same bank that you just do regular transfers between, but you want them to all be automated. You don't have to do this. The only one that you should do every month which isn't automated is the investment account. And the way you can do it is, if you're really smart, is have your investment account as the account that your income gets transferred into, and then all your standing orders go out of the investment account to all the different buckets, and then whatever's left after the standing orders have gone out is what you've got to invest, rather than have it going into a separate account and then having to move the surplus around, if that makes sense. So you can do it fully automated, and then the one thing you then have to do each month is invest that money. You may, I invest it straight away. Some people would prefer to let it build up. Maybe it's property strategies or something you're doing, so you're trying to save for a property deposit. Very different in that situation. But if it's like investing in stocks and shares, I just top up my share accounts and then invest them accordingly when I review my portfolio, maybe once a month. But I generally invest for the mid to long term in stocks and shares, or certainly for the medium term, because I have the liquidity to put it out quick and easily. But I don't like the short term volatility where I have to have my finger on the pulse. I like to leave things and sit, certainly for at least a year plus, before I generally would want to make any changes. And if you do that, invest in that, it's a lower risk investment strategy, but you can still get some pretty decent returns looking at a 3 to 5 year period. But again, I'll update you on what I'm doing on separate episodes, but that's how you can get productive wealth. So hopefully that's useful. If you've got any questions on this, drop me a comment, I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger question, I'll do a separate blog episode and tag you in. As always, check the links in my bios where you can watch, listen or read these episodes, and they're all catalogued nice and neatly by playlist, so you can find relevant information really easily. You can also follow all my social channels where I do unique content for each platform, and most importantly, keep up to date with my challenge to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days the distance of one lap around the world. It's going to take 14 to 15 years. A truly epic challenge, but an epic amount of money I intend to raise. So watch this space and follow the journey. So all I have to say is that the content I vlog about has always been geared around helping people overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise, or in my case running, as a release mechanism to relieve these daily, weekly pressures in the form of stress that we all experience, and having a process to clear your head, to kind of gain clarity on what's going on, process what's happened, refocus and move on. If you don't have that process in place, it doesn't have to be exercise, it could be meditation, yoga, reading, it could be whatever, but you have to have that release mechanism to do this. If you don't, the pressure will build and build and build like pressure does in the pipe, and if you have no release valve, the pipe will burst, and ultimately either yourself, or if it's a business we're talking about, it will break down, and it's something we clearly want to avoid. And the journey is, stress that's not managed grows into overwhelm. Overwhelm is when you start seizing and procrastinating, too much going on. It then switches to panic and anxiety, and you then start having panic and anxiety attacks, and you're into the realms of mental health, which clearly we want to avoid. Now I've been there, and I've lost multiple businesses because of this. I've lost multiple business partners because of this, and I've almost been bankrupt. So I've been there. It's a dark place. I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy, and it's no coincidence that in the last 10 and a half months of doing this running vlog, which is my release mechanism, I've made more progress than I have done in the previous 4 years. So I hope there's enough social proof to show that stuff works. And my pledge to you is that if you are one of these individuals struggling with this, drop me a message, okay? There's no catch here. There's no sale associated with this vlog. It's all about value giving and fundraising. And just drop me a message, okay? There's no catch. And we'll jump on a call, and I'll talk you through some of the things that I've done in my life that I know are transferable to yours, and we'll get you back on that right path. Many have taken me up on this already, and I know we've made a massive positive difference to so many. And I always said that if this vlog helps just one entrepreneur or one person or saves one business, then it's been 1,000,000% worthwhile. So help is there. It's often easier to ask strangers than nearest and dearest, and it often is free. You just have the courage to ask for it. So take that olive branch if you are struggling with these emotions. So that's it for me today. What's left to say is stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow.